Okay, so I finally had the opportunity to do a Dragonflight dungeon. So I've done a couple, and I've also done some time walking dungeons. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what the abilities do. Again, feeling that kind of healer template where you need an ability to do a certain thing at a specific point in a fight. I've already went over the talents, so this will be mainly just the abilities. That's what my talents look like. I tend to be leaning a little more towards the bronze side. So the way the preservation talents seem to be is the left side is more your green abilities, the right side is more your bronze abilities, and then there's some red um, abilities kind of in the middle. So you have a little bit of a choice there. Um, so going over what they what your abilities are to begin with. So your spammable heal over time ability is reversion. Your big single target heal is verdant embrace. Your tank only ability is echo. Your AoE is Emerald Blossom. Your bigger AoE heal is Dragon Breath. Your class specific, spec specific ability is Spirit Bloom. Your enhancement ability is Tip of the Scales. Your single target cooldown is Time Dilation. Your AoE cooldown is Rewind. And then your potpourri abilities that changes between healers is Living Flame, which essentially works the same way that Penance does. It does damage or healing depending on whether you have an enemy or a ally targeted. And then Carterize, which works in the same way as far as being kind of a niche ability that the Paladin ability does that sacrifices your health to heal an ally. This removes bleed, poison, curse, disease, and heals them for a large amount on a cooldown. And you'll know if you actually use this because it'll trigger the cooldown. If you use it and it doesn't actually do anything, it won't trigger the cooldown, which is actually kind of nice. So that is your basic overview of your ability. So that's pretty much everything you would need. That's everything every other healer has. When I was going through the talents, I couldn't really see anything else that was different from what any other healing class has, or that would be an advantage or anything else. Healing and um, tanking, although I've done far more with healing, are all pretty much set up to somewhat of a template, more or less, for what they do. Um, so it's not too complicated once you kind of figure everything out. I will say, I did say that I did want to point out, I did say Echo was a tank only ability. I believe you can apply it to more than one target. You don't have a ability that only has a limit of one target that's intended for the tank. Um, Echo seemed like that's what it was trying to be. It heals and then increases healing that um, that is done to the same target. I also find that Emerald Blossom, which um, will appear on the target, so it's kind of an on-target location, but you have to have a ally selected. Um, I also find I use it as well. They both use essence, which is your resource. I have 6 because I took a talent that gives me an extra one, so you'll have 5. So you can't spam them, um, but they do come in fairly useful, especially Echo. Depending on the fight, you use Echo, you use Reversion. That pretty well keeps the tank topped up. If you have a tank that's pretty good with keeping their health up and using their mitigation abilities, their shields, whatever they have, depending on what class they are. Um, I was using Emerald Blossom a lot. The only thing I can see that is a bit of a problem is with Dream Breath and a lot of your abilities. It's only really healing targets in front of you. I was in one group where I had a range that was constantly behind me and they weren't getting very much healing. I was having to specifically target them and put Reversion or Verdant Embrace or something on them to keep them topped up. So that is the only thing that I would note so far. A lot of healing abilities kind of just find the target, so it doesn't really matter where they are. Um, as far as the mastery for Preservation Invoker, Lifebender, healing done to allies is increased by 26% while their health percentage is lower than yours, which is usually the case. Being the healer, your health is usually um, topped up or pretty close to being topped up. So, yeah. So there you go. That is pretty much the abilities for Preservation Invoker. Not not too much to go over. You have a single target res. You have a mass res. You do not have a B res, which is a bit strange considering it's a mismatch hybrid of monk and um, demon hunter and a little bit of there's something else. I'm just not entirely sure what shaman for sure because you have heroism, things like that. You can see a lot of parallels there. There's a little bit cross between a mage and a warlock in the DPS abilities. So I'm surprised they didn't give another class a battle res. I suppose it makes sense. I was just surprised. I was surprised um, they got a heroism in Fury of the Aspects. Um, does have a nice visual when you use it. Does kind of the rainbow dragon there. Um, then does the exact same thing, increase health. Um, will become exhausted and unable to use benefit from Fear of the Aspect or similar effects again for 10 minutes. So same exact cooldown, everything like that. Um, you do get to keep Obsidian Scale, so you do have one shield. You do get Hover. You do get the hour-long buff, Blessing of the Bronze, which reduces the cooldown of Hover. So, yeah. So there you go, folks. That was the abilities for Preservation Invoker. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope that was helpful for you. And thank you for watching.